What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. Happy Monday. My name is Kyle. We're going to be hanging out for a little bit here. I'm going to be just going over my post-game notes for week number 4. We're going to be looking at the snaps, the routes, the rushing attempts, the targets, the receptions, and the fantasy points scored from each game. This is going to give us an idea of what happened yesterday and what we could project a little bit better going forward. I just want to note, if you guys are interested in getting these available to download and things like that, just go to thefantasyfellowship.com. It's in the membership tab. It's $8 a month, or if you want to get the season package, look into those pricings. But they will be available there, post-game notes on top of a ton of other features. But let's get into it. Starting with that Thursday night football game, Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals. Seahawks just eke it out. They were in control most of this game, and we were able to see Kenneth Walker take an advantage here, 19 carries to Charbonnet's 12. Now, Charbonnet did play on most of the long down and distance, the third down stuff, as well as the 2-minute drill. And that's where Charbonnet did score the rushing touchdown. So I'm not sweating it. If I'm Kenneth Walker's owner, he still got 19 touches. He looked good. He had like 115, 120 all-purpose yards. So it looks good for Kenneth Walker still. He'll get a touchdown probably next week. But it remains a backfield split. Charbonnet is more of a low-end RB2 flex in a PPR league. He finally got some receptions in there. So we'll see how it handles. Kenneth Walker, clearly the better player in terms of yardage output. So we like what we see there. Receivers, JSN, it took him a while to get there, but he got his numbers. Cooper Kupp, still number 2 in the receiver stuff, but just only, I actually have to reverse these. It looks like I have the targets wrong here for Cooper Kupp. I think he had 4 targets in that game. So I'll get that one updated. But Cooper Kupp, just a low-end wide receiver 3 flex play. Torrey Horton did look good early in the game, but they just didn't go back to him. The tight ends were interesting. Barner and Elijah Arroyo were busy dudes in this one here. We saw 3 receptions for Barner, 2 for Elijah Arroyo. Barner gets the touchdown. Still unusable for fantasy, but I think Dynasty Elijah Arroyo looks good. And then Sam Darnold looks really good too, man. He's got a lot of weapons to throw the ball to. He's got a good running game, a good defense. Seattle kind of looks like we thought they would against Arizona. The Cardinals, on the other hand, this one's really interesting. It's a consolidated offense. You still have Kyler Murray struggling to hit receivers. They finally found something at the end of this game, but Harrison took him a while to get there. He catches the touchdown, but it was pretty bumpy for 2.5 to 3 quarters. Michael Wilson's number 2 receiver, but we just don't care about any other receivers here besides Marvin Harrison. They really need a number 2 opposite him to free him up. And then McBride still remains the guy. A couple guys running some snaps and some routes, but it's McBride, it's Harrison, and then the development at the running back spot. Trey Benson is the lead back, but he's not the third down long distance back. That's Imari DiMercado. We had been kind of figuring that going into this. Benson did get 8 rushing attempts to lead the day, but they were behind. They're going to get a softer matchup here against Tennessee. We might see Benson have a nice game here in week 5, but for now, Benson still the lead back. He's not a bell cow back though, because he's going to lose that third down long and down and distance work. So he's kind of, to me, similar to like a J.K. Dobbins level running back too. So you feel good about it. He did get 5 catches, so no touchdown. He still gets 10.4 points. I think you're happy with that. But we have a lot of questions with this Arizona Cardinals offense. I don't feel all that awesome about my guys right now, but they get the Titans coming up soon. So we didn't really learn too much about Seattle, Arizona. It was a good finish though on Thursday Night Football. Let's move into the Ireland game, Dublin, Ireland. This was an interesting morning, especially towards the fourth quarter here. Carson Wentz ends up with 21.2 fantasy points. He did throw 2 interceptions, but he did throw 2 touchdowns. Looking serviceable for fantasy. If you need someone for one more week, they do play Cleveland in week 5 in London. But Wentz, he's still going to be turnover prone, but overall he had a lot of yards and some touchdowns for you. Jordan Mason was the lead back in this one. Xavier Scott came in and he was the third down, and the game was kind of out of hand in the fourth quarter. They were throwing the ball a lot. We saw a lot of Xavier Scott late. He did get 8 targets on the day, 6 catches, caught a touchdown. Jordan Mason did miss just from the 1 yard line here from a goal line touchdown, so it could have been a better day for Mason. He still caught 3 passes, which was nice, and racked up 16 carries. So the volume looks good here. You'll take the 10-point floor game from Mason. Justin Jefferson looked great with Carson Wentz, and then Jordan Addison looked good as well. 9 targets, 4 receptions. He had a big one to kind of get them going back into it. Naylor and Thielen, we just don't care enough about these guys. It took Hawkinson a while to get going in this one. Only 4 catches, 7.6 yards. I think he ended up with like 30 whatever yards in this one. So it was whatever. He got there, but he's not really necessarily a must-start tight end one. I think you're starting Jefferson, you're starting Mason. Addison enters the wide receiver 3 flex territory, and you can maybe think about Wentz as a super flex guy. They play week 5 in London against the Browns on bye week 6. And then maybe we see JJ McCarthy back in week 7. The Steelers here, everything looked pretty good. No Jaylen Warren in this one, no problem. Kenneth Gainwell has the best day of his career, 19 carries, catches all 6 of his targets here, and he gets 2 touchdowns in this one. And they just kind of ran away with this one. They were just well balanced. They didn't make any mistakes. They had the big DK Metcalf touchdown for 80 yards or whatever. He catches all 5 of his targets. Calvin Austin did get dinged up in this one, but there's really not a lot to like here for fantasy. I think, DK Metcalf's in your lineup as your wide receiver 3 flex. That's fine. Maybe he's a low-end wide receiver 2 now. And then, if Jaylen Warren's in there, we would have liked what we could have got here, but we'll have to monitor this running back field to see what happens when Jaylen Warren returns, because they might have to keep giving Gainwell some touches if he's going to look this good. So we're going to have to worry about what happens. They're on bye week 5, week 6. We'll see what happens with Warren and Gainwell. Johnson did get some run late in this game. And then Rodgers is he's barely a super flex QB2. He's gonna be kind of unusable for most of the year, but he looked fine. And then the tight ends are just a complete mess here. Jonnu Smith only gets 13 snaps. He does run 10 routes. Darnell Washington running the most routes and dominating the snaps. So I'm not sure what happened here. Did catch all 3 of his targets. So we'll keep an eye on Darnell Washington. But overall, we didn't learn too much in Ireland. The Commanders, I don't want to take away too much from this game. Jaden Daniels out, Terry McLaurin out. Corey Krosky-Merritt was dinged up and missing practice in this one, and they continue. Like, look at this. It's pretty much a 3-way split right down the middle. Jeremy McNichols is going to run more routes. Krosky, Merritt, and Rodriguez are going to get more carries. They both had 7 rushing attempts in this one. I'm pretty frustrated with how this backfield is, and I think all of them are boom-bust RB3 flexes at the moment. 6 points, 7 points, 1 point. It's just these backs are kind of unusable, but let's see what happens when Jaden Daniels returns. Otherwise, Mariota continues to be serviceable in Superflex leagues. That's fine. Deebo Samuel was the prize in this game, catches all 6 of his targets. He gets 3 rushing attempts and a touchdown, 20 fantasy points here. Let's keep an eye on Luke McCaffrey. He keeps making plays, keeps making touchdowns. He might be a guy that continues to hang around. Not sure if Terry McLaurin's going to be ready for week 5, but for now it's Deebo. Maybe Zach Ertz, but he's starting to fade already as a tight end 1. We have a lot of questions on the Commanders. We need to see Jaden Daniels back. The Falcons finally got it roaring. This was a dream. This was a dream game for the Falcons. Penix looked good. Bijan scores touchdowns. Algier scores touchdowns. London scores touchdowns. And Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown. This was a crazy Atlanta Falcons offensive outburst here. So it was cool to see everything hitting on all strides, especially after a terrible game at Carolina last week. So Penix, a sigh of relief for everybody involved with London and Pitts and Bijan shares here. You guys feel really good about what you have. Penix is still a super flex option. Bijan's obviously, he'd probably be the 101 if redrafting today. And then you got Algier here. Algier's tricky. He gets 16 attempts in this one. The game wasn't really close. It looked closer at the end of the score here. It really was not close. But Algier might be startable in games where they're favored to win. And if you're feeling the Falcons can close this game out. London looked good, 10 targets to lead the team, 8 receptions. He was making big play after big play all day. Mooney gets hurt in this one. We'll monitor his injury. Casey Washington stepped in as number 2, but we're probably just not going to care about receivers after London. You can maybe still care about Mooney, but he's already starting to rack up some injuries. And then Kyle Pitts, what else can we say, man? Runs 26 out of 29 routes, catches all 5 of his targets and a touchdown, 18 fantasy points. It's like 2020 all over again, man. He's actually looking really good. So the Falcons, good day yesterday. The Saints are interesting. We didn't really learn too much from the Saints, but Kendre Miller is a guy that I think is worth picking up this week in your waiver wires. He 10 carries, catches his 1 target. He gets the rushing touchdown to get the scoring started for the Saints. He scores more fantasy points than Alvin Kamara. He was getting meaningful touches throughout this game as well. 21 snaps out of 67, so that's fine. That's about a third of the game. And then 6 routes out of 36, so that's 1 out of every 6 routes. Kamara is still the guy, but there's room for 2 guys potentially here. So it's something to just keep an eye on. Obviously, if Kendre Miller doesn't score the touchdown, what's his fantasy points at? It's probably 6, 7, 8, something like that. But we might be looking at someone that could be usable soon, especially if Kamara is traded or injured, or if he just continues to produce. So all of his underlying metrics look better than Kamara. So I think Kamara, I personally want to see him traded. He shouldn't be suffering here in New Orleans. It's going to be a long year. We're probably going to see Tyler Shuck at some point. Spencer Rattler continues to run the ball well and throw it to enough volume to get guys fantasy points. Like Olave gets 10, Rashid gets 9.2. Juwan Johnson did not have 22 points. That was 2.2 points there for you. But it was just kind of a weird day. Maybe he had 5. I think he had 5.2 points. I need to clean that up. I'm sorry. But either way, the Saints toilet swirling down the drain. I want to see more Kendre Miller. Olave and Shaheed continue to be wide receiver 3 flexes. Juwan Johnson, they did mention activating Taysom Hill and what's the other guy? Foster Moreau. So the time might be running out on Juwan Johnson here. If you have Juwan Johnson, I might be looking for another tight end soon, especially with bye weeks and stuff. Start to look for your backup tight end. The Bills, nothing to learn about the Bills. Josh Allen, James Cook are the dudes. Khalil Shakir broke a huge tackle for a touchdown. Otherwise, it would have been a subpar day. Keon Coleman's barely usable as a wide receiver 3 flex. They are going to rotate a ton of receivers here. And, if Shakir or Coleman, if they get a touchdown, you're going to be happy. But I have a feeling it might be a little bit of a whack-a-mole situation. I just don't really trust these receivers yet. But Shakir has come through in back-to-back weeks. And then same thing with the tight end, like Dalton Kincaid. He's a top 5 tight end in fantasy points right now. But he's just not – I did a terrible job with these fantasy points this week. I got to double check that. But he completely missed playing a ton of snaps in this game. And it was a competitive game all day, but he just didn't play. He played 22 of 59 snaps, ends up with 16 out of 28 routes. He did get 2 targets. I believe one of them was for a touchdown. I'll have to double check that. I think I might have missed this up. This might be the one catch, the 9.8 right there. I believe that's correct. But yeah, frustrating day for the Bills. They should have blew him out to let him hang around. As far as trust, I want Allen and Cook in my lineup. I'll consider Coleman and Shakir. And then Kincaid, man, we got to continue to play him because he's making big plays when he gets the ball. But I am starting to worry a little bit about the volume sticking. The Cleveland Browns, what are we doing here? Is Quinshon Judkins and nothing else. Judkins, 21 rushing attempts, 4 targets, leads the team in running back routes. I mean, this was a huge win for Quinshon Judkins. This was kind of a boring game where they were behind most of the day, and you still see Quinshon Judkins lead the team in everything. So we're seeing less Ford, less Sampson, and more Judkins. So that's the big, clear takeaway winner here. Cedric Tillman did get hurt in this one. So we saw Isaiah Bond step into wide receiver 2 roles. If you want to look at Isaiah Bond, I think that's fine as a guy that could be picked up this week. But overall, I'm not too excited to start Cleveland Browns. They're getting Minnesota this week, which is a tough defense. Even the tight ends, Fannin overtook David Njoku yesterday, guys. 1 more snap and 1 more route. So maybe Njoku gets traded. We'll see. The Browns have a lot of thinking to do. We got to see Dylan Gabriel start some games. Maybe Shedeur Sanders start some games. It's pretty much only Judkins. That's the only piece that I want from this offense. If I have Jerry Jeudy, I'm probably trying to move him. Isaiah Bond, though, we'll keep an eye on him. He's a guy that could be intriguing for the future. The Lions didn't really learn a lot here. They did play some guys in garbage time at the end of this game. David Montgomery had no room to run. Jahmyr Gibbs looked good against an elite defense. Amon-Ra continues to look great. Jameson Williams, 7 targets, only 2 catches. Just, it was Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra. I think right now, Jameson Williams, he's going to get there eventually. Keep starting him if you have him, unless you have better options behind him. But it is getting to be a little frustrating with JMO. And then Sam Laporta, just not enough volume. It's kind of like how we started the season last year. It's a little bit frustrating for Sam Laporta. And then Goff, just a low volume day. So we didn't learn much about the Lions, just that they're still going to be really, really good at home against bad teams. I don't even want to talk about the Titans. This is bad. Like Tony Pollard is saving everything right now for us. So this is looking good for Tony Pollard. Continues to get his 9 to 10 fantasy points per game without a touchdown. It's just a lot of junk here. Like the tight ends didn't do anything, the receivers didn't do anything. Calvin Ridley got hurt in this one. I do not want to start any Titans on my team going forward. I'll consider Tony Pollard as a low end RB2 flex play right now, but until we see some more improvement from this team, I'm not going to be starting any Tennessee Titans going forward. The Texans, Woody Marks, the takeover is upon us. He ends up with 40 snaps to Nick Chubb's 30. He runs 16 routes out of 32. Nick Chubb only gets 9. The rushing attempts here, 18 for Marks, 13 for Nick Chubb, and then 5 targets for Marks, 2 for Nick Chubb. I just want to, it's fascinating. I do think Woody Marks is going to be the guy going forward here. It's probably going to be, I don't know, something like a 60-40 split, something like that in the favor of Marks. But I don't know how many days they're going to be able to get this. They're playing the Titans. So I do want to just pump the brakes on Woody Marks. I don't know if we have the next Bucky Irving. I don't know if we have the next Chase Brown. I don't know who we have in Woody Marks yet. But I do think he's going to continue to lead this team in snaps, routes, and volume. We play the Titans. This is how it should look against the Titans right now. So congrats, though, if you have Woody Marks. It looks like you got somebody. And yeah, he's a waiver wire priority this week for us. Nico Collins continues to be the guy. 5 targets, 4 receptions, gets you 12 points on this one, 7.9 yards. He had 1 catch that got called back. It looked like it was really close. Otherwise, Hutchinson, Kirk, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, these guys all kind of rotate in here. Jaden Higgins did catch a touchdown, so I like that for my dynasty shares. And then Christian Kirk continues to be the number 2 target kind of. So we'll keep an eye on him for waiver wires. Dalton Schultz is still there as a tight end if you need someone. 5 catches for 8 fantasy points. And Stroud looked fine. This is the best we've seen from CJ Stroud so far. Didn't have to do too much. He relied on that running game, big plays to Nico, and good defense, basically, from Houston. Carolina. Who are you? Who are you, Carolina? We're going to win in a blowout fashion at home against Atlanta, and then we're going to take our asses to New England and just get blown out, embarrassed. Like Andy Dalton was mopping up duty here at the end of this one. What did we learn? Ted McMillan remains startable. He's a wide receiver 3 with upside every week. I like what I got there. Chuba Hubbard is still the lead back. He ends up with 9.9 points. I think despite the blowout, you're happy with getting that floor. Rico Dowdle remains I don't want to say priority handcuff, but he is a good handcuff to have just in case Chuba gets hurt. We did see little ETN here, which was nice. The tight ends were busy, man. They had 12 targets on the day. They caught 10 passes. A lot of fantasy points going to the tight ends in this one, so maybe that swings back to the receivers. Go pick up Jalen Coker if he's still out there. Pick him up. Otherwise, I don't know, man. This looks pretty bad. The Panthers just might be – they might just be, another top 5 picked season going on for Carolina. The Patriots look good, like on all phases of the game. Drake May is a top 5, top 10 quarterback 1 threat every week. We're going to rotate the shit out of the running backs, and it's going to be annoying. Ramondre Stevenson leads in snaps and routes. Rushing attempts, doesn't get the touchdown. He gets 5 points. Travion Henderson, 15 snaps, 5 routes, 7 attempts, 2 targets, 2 catches. He gets a touchdown, 12.6 points. And then I think Antonio Gibson got a touchdown in this one too. So this is frustrating. It's very similar right now to how I feel about the Commanders backfield, where I just don't know what's going to happen every week. It's literally a game flow thing, and whatever happens, happens. I do want Henderson on my team if I'm picking one of these guys. But overall, it's very, very frustrating. Stephon Diggs, mini breakout here with the 6 catches, 16.1 fantasy points. This could be something that maybe sticks. Kayshon Boutte going to continue to lead snaps and routes as the main guy. But Diggs may be building some momentum with Drake May. And then, Hunter Henry, keep using him. But for fantasy, it's Henry, maybe Diggs, Henderson as your RB2 flex play. And then everything runs through Drake May. I think that was probably the right call, just to take Drake May in fantasy drafts. Chargers really struggled here. Ladd McConkey had a terrible game. He ends up with 1 catch on 6 targets. He had 2 drops in this one, both on 3rd downs. He had a bad holding call. I did not like what I saw from Lad McConkey. And we see Quentin Johnston light it up for 13 targets, 8 catches, another big play touchdown. Quentin Johnston is the Chargers wide receiver 1 through 4 games. So, I mean, at this point, I think he's must start. Like, he's beating everybody. Surtain, just everything is going for Quentin Johnston in the positive direction. So keep starting him if you have him. And I think Keenan Allen is the number 2 receiver. You know, he's getting more targets when he's out there than Lad McConkey, even though Lad McConkey is running the more routes. Keenan Allen is the old reliable third down target. And Lad McConkey is just not clicking right now. I do think if you could buy low on Lad McConkey, I will do that. But for now, you're probably starting all 3 of these Chargers receivers. They don't really have a tight end that they trust yet. I do like Oronde Gadsden in dynasty formats. But this was the Hampton game, man. Just dominated the snaps and the routes. The only running back to touch the ball, basically in this one, 5 catches, 12 rushing attempts. The big touchdown run was nice. Had a couple other really nice big runs in this game too. So Hampton, top 12 RB season, might be back on the menu here for him. And then Herbert did struggle in this one. The offensive line was missing Joe Alt. I think he's got a high ankle sprain, and they just could not keep Herbert with a clean pocket. He was always moving or having to get pressure. It was very frustrating day for Herbert. 2 interceptions. One was kind of weird, you know, the batted ball to the big guy. And then just one weird miscommunication with Conklin ended up as an interception. So frustrating day for the Chargers. I'm not going to sweat it too much. Sometimes that happens. Jackson Dart, though, you know, I watched this game and I didn't really learn a lot about Jackson Dart in this offense. Dart is super athletic. That's the number 1 thing that I took away. He had 1 or 2 really nice throws yesterday, and for the most part, they just went bumper bowling yesterday. They didn't do anything too crazy. They lost Malik Neighbors, and it wasn't even a problem. They just kept pounding Cam Scatabo. You see Devin Singletary get some runs. Not a lot of back. Like, that's the one part that does hurt from Dart is Scatabo's targets are going to come down, but his rushing attempts are going to spike. This is what the Giants are going to do with Jackson Dart. They're going to run the ball. They're going to take care of the football. They're going to allow Dart to make some runs with his legs and then hopefully make the few passes that we need to pass. They only had, 20 targets on the day, which I think we're going to continue to see going forward. So Dart is he's one of your prototypical running quarterbacks that's going to make some plays with his arm and legs. And he can be, if you need QB help, man, go pick up Jackson Dart. It looks fun for fantasy. Obviously with Malik Neighbors hurt, Wandale, Darius Slayton are going to be the 2 wide receivers here. Jalen Hyatt will step into number 3 role. I think Wandale and Slayton are fine pickups. And then Theo Johnson here. He did get 5 targets from Jackson Dart. So we'll continue to watch that chemistry to see if Theo Johnson becomes a little bit more involved with Dart versus Russell Wilson. So good game. Cam Scatabo. Big days are coming for Cam Scatabo, especially against New Orleans next. What did we learn about the Eagles, man? Nothing. Hurts, Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. Those are the guys that they use to move the ball. Didn't use A.J. Brown, didn't use Devonta Smith in this one. We didn't even really move the ball with Dallas Goedert. He just caught those 2 really short touchdown passes, those little shovel passes for touchdowns. Otherwise, Saquon Barkley, 19 touches, 4 targets, 4 catches. He's getting the volume that we want in the touchdown, but he's just not really producing, big yards per play. So his efficiency is gone down massively to start this season, which we'll watch that to see if that spikes anytime soon. But this was another boring Eagles offense. They got some special teams help in this one. Jalen Hurts just didn't have to throw the ball that much, and they just continue to make winning look boring, which is a good compliment if you're an Eagles fan. So we'll get A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith involved, but I think it's going to be pretty annoying at when they do and when they don't. Buccaneers, yay, Chris Godwin was back in this one. He did see 10 targets, only 3 catches, but that's a good sign. He was able to play a ton in this game, almost all the snaps and the routes. So he might be a wide receiver 3 flex going forward. He got the rust knocked off in this one. Hopefully he's going to practice this week and everything's going to come out okay. Egbuka's a wide receiver 1, guys. He's a top 10, top 12 receiver in fantasy right now. Bucky Irving, had an MRI today. We got to watch for those news updates on Bucky Irving. We're going to probably be talking about Rashad White and Sean Tucker tomorrow night if we get bad news. So let's monitor Bucky Irving over the next 24 hours and see what's going on. Baker Mayfield remains, a top 10 fantasy QB, just despite losing Evans and just everything, going wrong for Tampa Bay in this game. They found a way to make it competitive in the end. Egbuka, Bucky, Mayfield, that's what you want right now. Cade Otton, no. Like we need it. Can we get David Njoku to Tampa Bay, please? I think that'd be really cool. All right. Afternoon games, Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts fall short here. What did we learn here? No Alec Pierce. We see Adonai Mitchell step right into the number 2 wide receiver role that Pierce would run. He did have a huge couple big plays that affected the game, notably the touchdown that he caught and lost as he's crossing the plane. That's a game-losing play by Adonai Mitchell. So we know he's talented. He just doesn't really have the head-on straight at this point yet in year 3. A little bit frustrated with AD Mitchell, but Jonathan Taylor remains the dude here. No other dudes really getting touches. It is what it is. It's JT's world, and touchdowns are going to come and go, but you'll take your 14-point floor. Daniel Jones kind of back to high-end Superflex 2 QB duties. Not really sure we trust him as a QB1 after this blip. But Pittman looks good. Congrats if you got Michael Pittman. Like he's back to the clear number 1 wide receiver here on this team. And then Tyler Warren continues to look good. They're giving him carries. They're doing all this fun designing stuff for him. It's a pretty simple offense. It's Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, and Tyler Warren, and they're going to mix in these other receivers here. So we like what we got from the Colts. They should have won this game though. Adonai Mitchell really lost it for him in a couple ways. The Rams, what did we learn here? Blake Corum continues to get rushing attempts. He also had 2 receptions on 4 targets. So, he's a priority handcuff. If he's out there in your league, I want him because he continues to look good. And Kieran Williams continues to get fantasy points. So there's room for both of these guys to exist right now. We're not starting Corum on a weekly basis yet. But I do like the trajectory and basically the value of him being a strong handcuff because we know that if Kieran gets hurt, like Blake Corum's season is on. So he's a priority for me. Stafford balls out in this one, 5 rushing attempts, ends up with over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns on the big 88-yard touchdown to Tutu Atwell. Puka Nacua, man, he's just the best player. He might be the 101. If we're redrafting today, Puka Nacua might be the best player in fantasy football. And I completely sucked at these charts. I don't know what I thought I was in a good headspace when I was doing these charts last night. 15.6. I'm gonna have to redo all these. But Puka Nacua, 13 receptions, 36 fantasy points, his first touchdown of the year, 14 targets on the day. He's just the best player in fantasy. We don't care about the tight ends. It is Tyler Higbee running all the routes and snaps, but we just don't care about it. It's Devontae, it's Puka, and they're going to mix in those running backs. So Rams remain a top NFC threat. What did we learn about the Jaguars? I think Travis Etienne is just really, really good. 18 carries. He kind of put this one on his back. Big runs, big touchdown run, just making play after play and keeping the 49ers behind. Trevor Lawrence didn't have to do much in this one. He did look better throwing to Brian Thomas, who caught 5 of 7 targets, mostly on out stuff, breaking to the out of bounds. Travis Hunter had a big time catch on 3rd down. Brenton Strange continues to rack up a ton of targets and receptions. He's a low end tight end 1. And then Hunter Long did catch a touchdown, and this one had a nice drive there to get the first touchdown of the day. And then, Jags are good. Like, they have a good defense. They're going to take care of the football, hopefully, with Lawrence, and they're going to run the ball and let that be the identity. So we're looking good for Jacksonville. Fantasy wise, Brian Thomas Jr. I think will get going soon. And then I think I'm there with Brenton Strange, the top 10, top 12 tight end. You're starting Travis Etienne every week. Continue to hold on to Tootin. And then Lawrence is just a super flex option at the moment. And then the 49ers, nice to get Brock Purdy back. I did see he was not practicing today. They play Thursday night, so I'll watch for that. He should be fine. But it's Christian McCaffrey. The receivers are pretty frustrating right now. Jawan, Ricky Pearsall got dinged up in this one. Still no Kittle, but Jake Tonjes is starting to make some plays as a tight end. You can maybe stream him Thursday Night Football if you want. We're going to be watching the health of these receivers. I didn't really learn a lot about the 49ers, just that, hey, they're still banged up. Purdy's still good. Had 3 turnovers in this one. But Christian McCaffrey, you know, it sucks. I drafted him last year. Now he's just absolutely balling out right now. So good to see, though. Good to see him healthy. Another 11 targets, 7 catches for CMC. We didn't learn anything about the 49ers, but they're going to continue to hang in there. They're 3-1. They're going to be just fine. They're going to hopefully get healthy at the receiver position. And George Kittle, pour one out for the Ravens, man. Everybody got hurt yesterday. I don't really know how to grade this. Justice Hill had the big day. Zay Flowers had a nice day. Mark Andrews had a lot of volume. They just got boat raced here by Kansas City. There's really not much to talk about. If Lamar Jackson's going to be missing time, we have a lot of doubts here. Derrick Henry, just 7.8 points in this one. Rashad Bateman, Tylan Wallace, just backup duties here. A lot of questions here. Is Lamar healthy? If Lamar misses a game, are we interested in Cooper Rush in Superflex leagues? If Lamar misses a game, are we starting Zay Flowers? Are we starting Mark Andrews? Isaiah Likely was back in this one, which was good to see. He did run 20 of 40 routes. Mark Andrews, despite only running 23 out of the 40 routes, he did get 8 targets in this one, which was nice. But we need to see if Lamar is healthy. I don't really know if there's anything I could have learned yesterday. But the Chiefs, they needed Xavier Worthy back. Everything kind of flowed through Worthy yesterday. He had the 2 rushing attempts. He had the 8 targets. Just big play after big play out of Xavier Worthy. And it kind of opened it up for everybody else. Like Juju looked good. Hollywood Brown looked good. Tyquan Thornton caught another touchdown. Travis Kelce had his best day of the year, I would say, so far, with 5 catches on 5 targets. The running backs looked fine. Like Kareem Hunt, that's the one to talk about. More snaps, equal in routes, but he got 13 rushing attempts to Pacheco's 7. So that one, we'll see. It might be Kareem Hunt, RB 1A, Pacheco 1B. Brashard Smith, though, getting 4 rushing attempts and 4 targets in this one, looking like a guy that probably should get more work at some point here, but we have to continue to monitor this backfield. I think if I'm starting a running back next week against the Jags, it's probably Kareem Hunt. And then, hey, Mahomes, man, 4 touchdowns, long time since he's done that. And we're going to get Xavier Worthy. We already got Worthy back, but we're going to get Rashee Rice back soon here. So overall, nice day for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 2-2 after starting 0-2. Sigh of relief for the Chiefs. They are back in it. Chicago Bears, crazy game. This was a really interesting stinker game. Both quarterbacks having turnovers, just not a lot of production on either side of the ball. Caleb Williams, he gets it done, though, with Rome Odunze. Cole Kmet had 8 targets in this one. We'll watch Colston Loveland's health. I think DJ Moore continues to be out there running a lot of opportunities, but just not getting a lot of production with those opportunities. Olamide Zaccheaus is actually a name to keep an eye on here, who's the clear number 3, and he's getting targeted when he's out there. I think Rome Odunze is really the only must-start receiver right now. DJ Moore, kind of a low-end wide receiver 3 flex. And then Swift continues to look good, getting all the snaps and the routes and the touches. He's a PPR running back too. But I will say Monangai continues to be a handcuff stash, if you will. I don't know if I want to hold on to Luther Burden in redraft leagues. Like, he's going to continue to be the number 4 receiver. Maybe the trade deadline, if they move DJ Moore or something, like, I think they like Zaccheaus though. So it might be a while before we see anything from Burden. And then, yeah, as long as Loveland's out, Kmet's interesting. What did we learn about the Raiders? I mean, Ashton Jeanty finally got a bunch of fantasy points, 2 receiving touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. He looked good. Everything was through him. Geno Smith looked pretty bad in this one. Jacoby, Trey Tucker, Brock Bowers doesn't look good. And a lot of it, I think, is just tied to this terrible offensive line that can't get any room going for Jeanty and can't keep Geno clean. So pretty frustrating day, like a very winnable game for the Raiders, but they just got in their own way, specifically Geno. But congrats if you have Jeanty. You're feeling better about what you have here. But we got a lot of questions. You're going to keep starting Brock Bowers, but now we have to start thinking about Jacoby and Trey Tucker and things like that. The Packers, I hate the ties, man. What's the point? What's the point? College football doesn't tie. NBA doesn't tie. MLB doesn't tie. I think I think NHL does, but it's just like, what are we doing? Let's just finish the game. Get rid of the clocks. I don't want a clock in overtime. You can make the play clock, the speed of the game can stay with the speed clock. But we got to get rid of the 10-minute overtime. Let's just keep playing until the game's done and we have a winner. But either way, Jordan Love looked good. Very good Jordan Love day. Especially Romeo Doubs, man. Romeo Doubs with 3 touchdowns. Like, he's going to be the number 1 waiver wire priority for a lot of people. It just sucks that they're on bye this week. So you might have a chance to kind of sneak him in there for cheap. But Doubs is the clear number 1. He runs 75 of 83 routes, 42 of 48 routes in this one, and 8 targets, 6 receptions. Like, he was the guy that made the big plays happen. Matthew Golden started the game off hot with a big catch. They're giving him touches throughout the first half. And then he kind of had this weird punt return where he got clocked pretty good. And then he had a rushing attempt where he just went backwards in the wrong way. And I just worry that they kind of – I noticed he didn't play as much after those 2 plays, but he still came through. He had a big 4th down catch. He gets 11.3 points. I think Golden is going to start to become startable for us in PPR leagues. Wicks is just running a lot of routes and snaps, just not getting the volume or the big plays yet. Savion Williams, a guy to file away here who looked good on limited touches. Tucker Kraft had a touchdown down at like the 6-inch line. You're fine with Tucker Kraft. And then Josh Jacobs being used more as a receiver. Very good to see. And then Emmanuel Wilson looks pretty good as the next man up for Green Bay. And then last but not least, Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. This was crazy. Like, some of the throws he was making, especially that one to Jalen Tolbert at the end of the game, that was insane. He had some dimes to George Pickens, and I don't know how Pickens caught that one because he jumped early and it just kind of fell right into him. Crazy game from Dak Prescott. They just didn't give up. Javonte Williams, like, he might be a running back 1 right now. This offense has to kind of keep playing run and gun with that bad defense. But George Pickens, man, like, we're not going to get any more questions on do we start George Pickens. If you have him, just get him in there. You're going to take the good with the bad because we know now what the good looks like here. We'll continue to monitor wide receiver 2 while CeeDee Lamb's out. I don't know if I'm going to feel comfortable starting any one of these guys, but it is Tolbert getting number 2 snaps and routes and targets. Ferguson, you still have a tight end 1 with Ferguson. He got his first touchdown in like 2 years. So Dallas didn't learn much, just that they still got a lot of fight despite not having CeeDee Lamb. So that is the good news there. And there you have it. That is the week 4 recap. We got 2 Monday Night Football games on tonight. So I'm going to get ready for that. Good luck. If you guys need some help tonight, I hope you guys get everything that you need. Or if you don't need points, I hope there's no points. Whatever you need, I hope you get it. Thank you for watching. We'll go live waiver wire show tomorrow, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Central Time. Join me there. Check out thefantasyfellowship.com. And thank you. Have a good night. Peace.